Ready.
Good morning. In the series of in-house training, today I am Preeti Sneh from Sharon's Public School is going to deliver my views about multilingualism in classrooms. So, first of all, the question is, what is multilingualism? We need to know that what is multilingualism. So, as the name itself suggests that it is made up of two words, multi and lingual. So, the meaning of multi is different and lingual means languages. So, multilingualism means the process of knowing more than two languages. Nowadays, multilingualism is a very common phenomenon all over the world. This is to be expected considering that there are almost 7,000 languages in the world and about 200 independent countries. It is not only that world and about the different languages is unevenly distributed, meaning that speakers of smaller languages need to speak other languages in their daily life. Multilinguals can be speakers of majority indigenous languages. For example, Maori in New Zealand or Welsh in the United Kingdom, who need to learn the dominant state languages. In other cases, multilinguals are immigrants who speak their first language as well as the second language of their host countries. In some cases, languages are learned as they spread internationally, and it is considered that they open doors for better economic and social opportunities. This is currently the case with English, which is the most widespread language and is very common as a school subject and as a language of instruction in schools and universities all over the world. Several factors have contributed to the current visibility of multilingualism. Among them, globalization, transnational mobility of the population, and the spread of the new technologies are highly influential in different political, social, and educational contexts. Aronin and Singleton compared the features of historical and contemporary multilingualism and reported 7 distinctions. These distinctions can be clustered into 3 main areas: geographical, social, and media. Globalization has increased the value of multilingualism. Speaking different languages has an added value. As Edwards pointed out, speaking English can be necessary, but the ability to speak other languages is nonetheless ensures a competitive edge. This need for other languages is obvious if we consider that English is the most widely used language on the internet. But the percentage of internet users of English has decreased from 51.3% in 2000 to 26.8% in 2011. Percentage for the second most used language is in 2011 is Chinese in 2011. The percentage for the second most languages in 2011, but many other languages are used as well. Given its growing importance in modern society, multilingualism has attracted increasing the tensions in applied linguistics, as it can be seen in the titles of journals, articles, books, and academic conferences that use the term multilingualism. At the same time, within applied linguistics, the study of multilingualism has been approached from different perspectives, as will be seen in the next sections. Multilingualism is a complex phenomenon that can be studied from different perspectives in disciplines such as linguistics, psycholinguistics, social linguistics, and education. There are many definitions of multilingualism. For example, defined a multilingual individual as anyone who can communicate in more than one languages, be it active or passive. A well-known definition of multilingualism is given by European Commission is the ability of societies, institutions, groups and individuals to engage on a regular basis and more than one language in their day-to-day life. These definitions of multilingualism are relevant for discussing some of its dimensions: the individual versus social dimensions, the proficiency versus use dimension, and the bilingualism versus multilingualism dimension. Now, multilingualism is at the same time an individual and a social phenomenon. It can be considered as an ability of an individual, or it can refer to the uses of languages in society. Individual and social multilingualism are not completely separated. It is more likely that the individuals who live in a multilingual community speak more than one language than for individuals who live in a monolingual society. Traditionally, there have been more multilinguals in areas where regional or minority languages are spoken, or in broader areas. However, the intense spread of English as a lingua franca and the mobility of the population to urban areas across nations have resulted in other situations as well. Today, it is possible to find many individuals who have learned English and live in traditionally monolingual areas. It is also possible to find many monolingual speakers in big cities in Europe or North America, where there is a high level of linguistic diversity in a result of immigration, particularly in contexts in which English is the majority language. Individual multilingualism is sometimes referred to as plurilingualism by the Council of Europe. Website defines plurilingualism as the repertoire of varieties of language which many individuals use, so that some individuals are monolingual and some are plurilingual. In contrast, multilingualism is understood as the presence of a geographical area, large or small, same as most widely individual. This distinction is the same as the most widely used distinction between individual and societal multilingualism. However, pluralism was also used by Moore and Gadget to highlight the focus on the individual at the focus and actor of contract. Within individual multilingualism, there can be important differences in the experience of acquiring and using languages. Any individual can acquire the different languages simultaneously by being exposed to two or more languages from birth, or successively by being exposed to second or additional languages in life. These experiences are related to different possibilities in the organization of bilingual memory and the distinction between compound, coordinate and subordinate multilinguals in the society. At the societal level, there is an important distinction between additive and subtractive multilingualism. In the case of additive multilingualism, a language is added to the linguistic repertoire of the speaker, while the first language continues to be developed. In contrast, subtractive multilingualism refers to situations in which a new language is learned and replaces the first language. Additive multilingualism is more likely to happen when speakers of a majority language acquire other languages. Subtractive multilingualism can often be found when immigrant school children are required to shift to the language of a host country without being given the opportunity to develop their own language. A related issue is the difference between multilingualism in demographically strong languages with a high status and a weaker languages. The next point is the bilingualism versus multilingualism dimension. Bilingualism as the generic term, it is the traditional position that reflects the importance of research involving two languages rather than additional languages. Bilingualism generally refers to two languages and can include more languages also. Multilingualism, on the other hand, as the generic term, this can be regarded as the mainstream position nowadays. Multilingualism is often used to refer to two or more languages are instances of multilingualism. Bilingualism and multilingualism are different terms. Some researchers use the term bilingual for users of two languages and multilingual for three or more languages. This position is also common among scholars working on third language acquisition and trilingualism. Cognitive outcomes of multilingualism. The effect of multilingualism on cognition has a long tradition, particularly in educational context. But in the past few years, more attention has been paid to the relationship between the knowledge of two or more languages and the specific aspects of cognition. For example, some studies have focused on the differences between monolinguals and multilinguals in selective attention. These studies look at the same features of language processing in two languages and do not analyze the way multilingual speakers communicate every day. The result indicates that multilinguals of different ages develop resources that allow them to perform better on some metalingualistic tasks and can even slow down some aspects of the cognitive decline associated with aging. The mechanism involved in comprehension and production of two or more languages have been examined as related to phonetics, lexis and grammar. The area that has received more attention in recent years is the multilingual lexicon. Research studies have tried to test if all the languages of multilingual are activated and compete against each other in language processing, as well as the factors influencing the activation. The use of neuroimaging techniques like MRI, PET and methods to analyze the electrical activity of the brain has opened new possibilities in the study of multilingualism. They have given the opportunity to relate language processing to different parts of the brain and to explore some characteristic features of bilingual processing. Even though much more research is needed, there is already some indications that the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex or the interior cingulate cortex and the caudate are the areas where bilingual languages control is regulated both for comprehension and production tasks. These techniques provide the opportunity to analyze different aspects of bilingual processing with more accuracy and from different angles, but more research is needed to confirm the explanatory research. The focus on the multilingual individual rather than the languages spoken by the multilingual individual has resulted in intersecting sites about the characteristics of language learning and language used by multilinguals. A related aspect is the study of emotions and their dynamic. Apart from questionnaires and interviews, memoirs, and online data have also contributed to research in this area. A related development of multilingualism at the societal level has been the study of language practices in different contexts. For example, and highlighted the importance of language practices in pre-colonial and post-colonial non-Western contexts for the study of multilingualism. The study of multilingual practices in urban context has already been given interest insights about crossing language boundaries in the 1990s and has been expanded in recent years. The holistic view of multilingualism highlights the characteristics of multilingual speakers as different from those of monolingual speakers. Multilingual speakers use the languages at their disposal as a resource of communication, and the repertoire is wider. They usually have more resources available than monolinguistic speakers. As Block suggests, multilinguals do not seem to be semi-lingual but rather hyperlingual. Research on third language acquisition has indicated that bilinguals can also use resources to learn additional languages. As we have already seen, sociolinguistic, sociological, sociolinguist and anthropological approach to the study of multilingualism are widely used. A holistic approach towards multilingualism has been shown by different researchers. Research on multilingualism is highly productive. Research on multilingualism is highly productive as shown by new proposals, concepts, hypotheses and findings. The need to improve our knowledge of individual and social multilingualism is linked to globalization. The intensification of international contracts, the internalization of the economy and the mobility of the population have produced more opportunities to conduct research on multilingualism and also benefited from technology. Nowadays, it is possible to investigate patterns of brain activation using a wide range of techniques. It is also possible to take a large number of pictures of the linguistic landscape using digital cameras to analyze communication among multilinguals. Technology can facilitate data collection and analysis and at the same time help to move research forward by providing new insights. Traditional ways of approaching research in multilingualism have been challenged by holistic approaches in recent years. Both atomistic and holistic views of multilingualism can contribute to our knowledge of multilingualism, provided that multilingualism is not seen just as a simple addition of languages but as a phenomenon with its own characteristics. Now, we will discuss multilingualism in context to education. Till now, I was discussing multilingualism, the various aspects of multilingualism and its effect, and the certain researches related to it. Now, challenges for future research in multilingualism is a challenging field. Both because of the complexity stemming from diverse interdisciplinary interests and because of the number of variables involved in multilingualism. But although by now a more realistic view of multilingualism appears to be established as a norm, the monolingual yardstick is still prevalent in most methodologies using in bi- and multilingualism studies. As suggested by Aronin and Havishim, it is absolutely necessary to cross the second threshold, which implies that following the crucial contributions by Grosjean and Cope on the bilingual view of bilingualism, as well as Herdina and Dessner in 2002. We now have come to see that multilingualism can only be adequately researched by applying a multilingual norm to multilingual research. Linking research on the social level to research on the individual level presents a big challenge for future studies of multilingualism. Also combining the multilingual's perspective with the ethic, the researcher's perspective of multilingualism appears to be the most promising step towards the development of the field. As depicted to Dessner and Cramache, it is also necessary to focus more than the so-called dark side of multilingualism and to face the multilingual challenges, ranging from individual crises of identity, suspicions of scientific disloyalty to pervasive anxiety that is related to the transition from a monolingual world of identifiable knowledge, predictable monolingual grammars, and clearly recognizable authorities. This new trend in applied linguistics, which follows the very positive attitude that has been developed over the years towards multilingualism. Now we will discuss the next topic, multilingualism in the classrooms. The world is getting much more multilingual each year. Nowadays, people know many more languages and more are fluently than in the past. According to the NEP, that is the National Educational Policy that has been launched recently, it has been made mandatory for the schools that they have to use their regional languages also. So, along with Hindi and English, all the teachers, all the students, as well as teachers must be fluent in more than 2 or more languages, and it is the necessity of time that they have to be multilingual. It is not a rare occurrence to have kids who speak a different mother tongue in the classroom. As such, we should take some time to check out what effects multilingualism has on the field of education. Now, we know that plenty of resources about the impact of multilingualism can be found on the internet. Some of them include academic reviews and reviews of various topics related to education in every aspect. But let's go through an overview here. First, we will start with the general benefits of multilingualism. Multilingualism sharpens the mind. According to various studies, people who speak more languages can better detect things and identify any misleading information. A study has also shown that learning a new language makes the brain bigger. The same study found out that the greater the age at which the next language is acquired, the greater is the effect of the growth of the brain structure. According to research, multilingual people who frequently use several of the languages show more activity in the regions associated with attention, short-term memory, and inhibition. It also enhances the process of decision making. According to a study from the University of Chicago, multilingual people have an easier time making decisions. This is somewhat related to the fact that when a person learns another language, they need to judge for hidden meanings and appropriateness of what they are going to say. With practice, this process of decision making benefits not only the language speaking itself, but all decision processes. Multilingualism also enhances one's ability to multitask. This process requires the person to disengage from one activity and transit to a new mindset, fully immersing in a sometimes totally different activity. Multilingual people who frequently use their languages and have experience in switching between them have shown that they are better in multitasking. People have the ability to think in another language, have a better capability to multitask than monolingual people. It leads to a better memory too. The more one uses their brain, the better will it perform. And multilingualism requires a great deal of brain activity. One needs to accustom themselves to a new set of vocabulary and gain the ability to recall the information they have learned. Once a person learns a new language, they will be faster in acquiring another one. A Luxembourg study showed that people who speak more than one language could probably have a lower risk of developing brain problems like dementia and Alzheimer's. The next point is consequences of multilingualism. Multilingualism has plenty of consequences. Some of them linguistic, others socio-political. Some of them are the developmental of better cross-group communication. Multilingualism requires the development of some mixed languages, for it grows in an intense language contact. Thus, when the learner communicates verbally, they will need to include a mixture of languages. Multilingualism will develop cross-linguistic communication strategies. Some of them include code mixing and code switching. Code mixing is when people use one language at home and then switch to another outside of home. Multilingualism develops cross-cultural communication skills. They will make the person more competent in the communicative abilities. Now, multilingualism in classrooms. If the teacher supports multilingualism in the practice, this will lead to positive effects on the academic performance of the students. It will also lead to a better social and emotional well-being. This can be done passively when one allows students to use their native tongue, or actively by implementing multilingual practices in the process of teaching. Also, we know that when kids understand what they hear and read, then they will be actually able to learn. Without that understanding, they will have a harder time assimilating the material. So when you have a multilingual classroom, you would do good if you are able to implement multilingualism in practice. So that will allow students to understand what they are reading and hearing. This will then lead to a better understanding and a higher quality learning process. Another thing we need to point out is that learning is most effective if one builds on what they already know. And since kids already know their native language, they will achieve the best results with the implementation of multilingualism in classroom. Also, their native tongue will help them go better with the learning of a second, third, fourth and more languages. Language, as we know, is a part of thinking. If we don't allow kids to to use their mother tongue, we may actually be silencing their inner voice. This will then lead to the silencing of what is crucial to in the learning process. Now, they will achieve their best. Another thing we need to point out is that also we know that when kids understand what they hear and read, they will be actually able to learn. Without that understanding, they will have a harder time assimilating the material. So when you have a multilingual classroom, you would do good if you are able to implement multilingualism in practice, for that will allow students to understand and what they are reading and hearing. This will then lead to a better understanding and a higher quality learning process. Another thing we need to point out is that learning is more effective if one builds on what they are already knowing. And since kids already know their native language, they will implement it better. Also, their native tongue will help them go better with the learning of a second, third or more language. Language, as we know, is a large part of thinking. Whatever we think, we communicate it with the help of language. When we use language supportive teaching methods and include the languages of kids in the educational resources and practices, we are allowing for an easier breakdown of the language barrier that is stopping plenty of kids reach success in education. Now, concluding this, we can say that we have in this whole process we have seen that multilingualism has plenty of benefits. Sure, we were not able to discuss all of them. For that, we would take a great deal of time and space. But we pointed out the most important benefits that directly translate to learning processes. Also, we are trying to show that what impact multilingualism has on educational process. We need to be aware of the impact of multilingualism and make a note of the fact that kids will benefit of using their native tongue in the learning process, as the NEP suggests nowadays. Now, what are the benefits of using multilingualism in classrooms? A multilingual education makes the kids more smarter. There's no denying it. We thought we would give you a whirlwind tour of why, rather than cite in detail the findings of researchers like this, one who specializes in the field. We know that as an ECD teacher, you are most likely run off your feet in a semi-permanent way. Letting specialty toy makers like Miniland lighten your load can be the key to unlocking the benefits of a multilingual classroom without overwhelming you with the need to learn a new language yourself, increase your workload, or ask impossible things of your children. We share what you can expect from multilingual atmosphere, how educational toys and Miniland ABC Monster help you invite the magic. Multilingual classrooms foster essential 21st century skills. By learning another language, children begin to understand and master languages as a system of representing meaning in the world. Along with the creative arts education, a firm grounding in language and literacy gives children the assurance that they will always be able to communicate meaningfully with the world around them. The ability to communicate effectively is considered one of the essential 4C skills necessary for success in the 21st century and is essential for anyone's psychological health. Miniland's ABC Monster is perfect for facilitating educational games that develop multilingual literacy in a non-competitive way. The children are tasked with building words from letters of the Latin alphabet. Each word is described by interpreting a picture from a game card. This means that words can be built and these pictures described in any language like English that uses this script. Multilingual children are more emphatic. A classroom that welcomes a multilingual atmosphere is more likely to produce children who understand that to be equal to someone doesn't mean that they have to be the same as them. Multilingual instruction fosters meaningful diplomacy by growing children's appreciation of different cultures and meaning-making systems. When these instructions is included by their day-thought fun language games like ABC Monster, this can result of empathy is development and alongside the more directly curriculum related matter of increasing their literacy. While considered a soft skill, an emphatic attitude will constantly provide access to richer, more diverse social networks which will secure their success and social mobility later in life. Speaking more than one language is better than that knows just a single language. Early bilingual proficiency is positively correlated with intelligence. Speaking more than one language from an early age means that your brain has to work harder in those critical developmental years and you therefore become smarter. Bi and multilingual children carry this benefit with them for the rest of their lives. With their better understanding of how language functions, bilingual children often grow up to be innovators of language and other meaning-making systems. They are also found to have better attention spans because they have had more practice at paying mindful attention to things like choosing which language to use or interpret. The ability to focus their attention can be further developed by learning aids like Miniland's Mindful Kids program, which harnesses these beginnings and grows each child's ability to practice focused, non-judgmental awareness through a series of mindfulness exercises that easily integrated into a teaching and learning day. Multilingualism connects communities also. Children who speak multiple languages become better at every language. Children start to speak many languages, they become fluent at many languages. They have their own command over every language. Overall, for example, a Spanish-speaking child will eventually be better at English if allowed to draw their knowledge of their home language in your classroom. In the same way, when a child speaks in Bhojpuri or Maithili, the knowledge level of Bhojpuri or Maithili of that child is far more better in comparison to English. But as English has been set as a standard, so they have to speak English. So for teachers it is very important that if they will deliver their lectures in their own languages, in the regional languages, then the students will be able to have a more interaction with the teacher and the things that they are delivering. But since we have to maintain the standard also, so we have to maintain the English level. We have to improve the English speaking skill of children also. So in this way we come across the fact that children have to be multilingual, and this multilingualism helps the children to get interacted with the teacher, as well as they feel more command over the subject matter, and they feel that they are having their living in their own environment, rather than when they are pushed into the classroom and they are forced to learn each and everything in English language. So children start feeling more relaxed, more innovative, and they start enjoying the subject matter, and in this way learning of various topics, various subjects become much more fun and much more entertainment for the students, rather being compared to learn it can be said as parrot learning of the students in English. And while speaking in English, while reading in English, while learning in English, they feel as if they are just doing it in a way as a parrot used to do. But when they are made free to learn in their own language, in Hindi or whatever language they know, then they feel much more connected to the subject, and they feel more grasp over the point. Language, a classroom atmosphere that accepts multiple languages, allows for code switching, and even encourages active additional language learning, helps ensure that your children remain connected to their home language and community. A game like ABC Monster is a great way to support a second language speaker connections with their home language, because it isn't restricted to English. Any word built from the Latin alphabet can be built by feeding the monster. And the group nature of the game means that your class can learn from each other by sharing the words that they know for things across cultural and language diversities. Being bilingual gives children better job perspectives also. So in India, if we will consider the scenario, then a multilingual multilingual person is having more job opportunities, much more proficiency than any other bilingual or a monolingual student. Because language is a thing that connects the people. We use language to to express our emotions, express our feelings, or express all the things related to us to a specific point, a specific subject point. So it becomes very much important for any person to switch over to multilingualism, because as we all know that India itself is having lots of diversity, and diversity is in in many more fields. Language is one of those fields, right? So when multilingualism is allowed, then the person feels connected to the other person, and also with the subject matter. So language, the unit is in much of the world, including India, multilingual students are the norm rather than the exceptions. There is much research and evidence about the cognitive and practical benefits of knowing more than one language. Such knowledge is a tremendous resource for teaching and learning. Whenever the subject specialism, every teacher should seek out opportunities to celebrate promote and exploit the linguistic knowledge and skills of all their students. As a language and literacy teacher, you have a particular responsibility to do this. The three statements that follow are based on the findings of international education research on effective classroom practice in multilingual contexts. So, increasing multilingualism in classrooms, in order to do that, various steps can be taken. The first one is students learn best in the language they know best, and it is the reality and we must accept this fact. Teachers teach more effectively in the language they are most familiar with. Yes, it is also a very correct point that until and unless the teacher is not having it's a firm command over the subject matter, the teacher will not be able to deliver it to the students. For this, the proper language must be selected so that the teacher should feel comfortable in delivering the subject matter to the students. The longer teaching and learning take place in the first language, the better the educational outcomes. And it is also the fact that if the language is good, then both the process, that is the speaking process and the listening process, both becomes much more simpler. As a teacher, we must implement all these things in our classrooms. The three statements above reflect increasing powerful evidence of the positive impact that prolonged teaching in the mother tongue has on students, school attendance and the long-term educational success. While the introduction of wholly mother tongue based teaching may not be possible in any school, there are many small changes that can be made in our teaching practice to draw on the valuable home language resources that the students bring into the classroom. Take time each day to observe, and as a teacher we must take time each day to observe and listen to those students who may otherwise be quiet in class when they are talking to others in a more familiar shared language. What qualities and behaviors do they demonstrate, and perhaps we had not been aware of before? So we should pay more attention on those children who keep silent while the lecture is being delivered. We may think about those students also, that whether they are able to understand the subject matter or not. And for the welfare of those type of students, we must improve or introduce multilingualism in our classroom. A class language survey can be done. For this, we need to undertake a language survey with our class. We should start by talking to our students about the language that they know. Perhaps classifying whether they can understand a few words, speak the language fluently or write it, and explaining how they gained that knowledge. Various form of their parents, their grandparents, from living somewhere or from studying in the school. For example, using chart paper, we should make a large table is made, and on that piece of paper the name followed by the name of the teacher followed by the name of the students should be written, and down the left hand side and a list of languages across the top. The students should be invited to state which language they know and add ticks to the chart accordingly. When they have finished, the survey chart should be put up on the classroom wall. If the students are absent on the day that when the survey was done, we should be sure to update the chart when they return. Depending on the age of their students, our students, we should make the survey more detailed by noting whether they can understand, speak, read or write the languages that have been mentioned. In order to do that, we must promote multilingualism for the betterment of the teacher. Multilingualism is good for us in many ways. Not only does speaking more than one language keep our brains healthy as we age, but it has multiple benefits for children too, such as giving them an academic advantage and improving their employment prospects once they leave school. Moreover, it is our responsibility to make our children competent in this world, because school is the first platform that students are provided in order to build their personality, in order to make them ready for the different circumstances that they have to face in their further life. Not only speaking more than one language keep our brain healthy as we age, but it has multiple benefits for children too, such as giving them an academic advantage and improving their employment prospects once they leave school. Moreover, multilingualism gives us access to more than one culture and improves our understanding of our own culture. But what does this mean for classroom teaching, especially in school contexts that equate English language proficiency with academic success? How can teachers harness the benefits of their students' multilingualism while simultaneously helping them to develop the academic language they need to succeed? A team of Australia-based educational researchers has embraced this challenge by working with the British Council to produce a groundbreaking collection of multilingual classroom activities. These activities are aimed at teachers who work with English as a subject or use English as a medium of instruction and English as a medium of instruction in low-resource multilingual classrooms. The team comprised researchers from the University of South Australia, Griffith and Mackay. Universities, all of whom extensive experience of teaching in culturally and linguistically diverse contexts, including Sub-Saharan Africa, Northern Africa and Southeast Asia. Two team members explained what lies behind the publication. For many years, teachers of English have been told that using students' home language in English lessons should be avoided at all costs. A growing body of research literature shows that drawing on students' home language and cultural backgrounds in classroom teaching validates their identities and provides a strong foundation of additional language learning. Yet the reality for many multilingual students, especially English language learners, has been that their home languages are left at the classroom door or regarded as an obstacle to the development of the language of schooling and learning in general. For many years, teachers of English have been told that they must not use their home language or their native language while teaching English. But we should never forget that language can be used as a resource and not as a barrier. Multilingual classrooms are a growing phenomenon around the world. As a result of rapid increase in global mobility and migration, within these classrooms, students may have different linguistic and cultural backgrounds. They speak one language at home and another language at school, or be learning the language of instruction as an additional language in international agencies such as UNICEF, UNESCO, and the European Commission contend that multilingual education can play a significant role in engaging diverse learners as well as supporting academic success. Classrooms that promote multilingualism can foster positive identities associated with their home cultures. This position is supported by Richard Prull's notion of language as a resource, which advocates for the use of students' home languages as resource for learning and teaching. In practice, a language as resource perspective implies that teachers should use students' home language as a tool for thinking and communication, while simultaneously learning and developing proficiency in the language of instruction. Nevertheless, English will overwhelmingly dominates lessons in many classrooms throughout the world, where students read, write, listen and speak only in English. Despite considerable research pointing to the importance and benefits of incorporating multilingual pedagogies into classroom practice, there are few materials available to educators that explain how this can be done deliberately and systematically in lesson planning and lesson delivery. Happily, in recent years, publications, conferences and professional development materials have advanced thinking about the medium of instruction and ways to approach teaching that challenge the national official language only. A new research has proved that preventing learners from using their home languages in English language classroom not only impedes learning and denies a linguistic human right, but also loses valuable opportunities for teachers to draw on their students' knowledge and experience as resource for teaching. This collection of activities was developed in response to the British Council's conscious decision to promote multilingual approaches to teaching English internationally. The activities are designed to acknowledge learners' home language and cultures when teaching English as an additional or foreign language, or using English as a medium of instructions in multilingual classrooms. The activities are grounded in research-based pedagogies principles briefly outlined below. It has long been recognized that one of the key characteristics of high quality teaching is the ability of teachers to engage students' prior understandings and experiences and background knowledge. The prior knowledge is encoded in their home languages, and therefore it is vital that teachers facilitate the transfer of both concepts and skills from students' home language to English. This view of language is complemented, which refers to the rich bodies of cultural knowledge that exists when students' household and communities. Moll argues that when teachers tap into this type of knowledge by building relationships with their students and their wider social networks, they allow for meaningful learning opportunities. Teaching practices that tap into multilingual ways of reading, writing and speaking allow students to access the cultural resources that enhances the personal significance of their classroom work, as well as expanding access to knowledge through text in more than one language. One of the most successful approaches to bilingual teaching and learning has been purposeful and simultaneous. Use of two languages is in the same classroom, a process that is referred to translanguaging. The activities in this collection break new grounds in being designed to enable teachers to constantly draw on the make use of students' emergent bilingual skills. The activities are designed in a planned and sequential way to encourage students to draw on the most appropriate linguistic resources they have. Allow teachers to design intercultural and inclusive lessons that support English language learning, but also draw on learners' first language and their community and family funds of knowledge. The activities with this, now I would like to conclude my today's views on multilingualism. In short, multilingualism is the best way to practice to be practiced in our classrooms, because it will lead in a more proper and more sequential interaction of teacher-student relationship, and also it will improve the grasp of students over the knowledge over the subject matter, and they will be more they will feel much more entertaining and much more connected with the subject matter. That's all. Thank you.